Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hiba.
And I'm Zaid,
You're listening to Diary of a Matchmaker.
a podcast that will take you into our world as matchmakers.
We'll share our experiences and offer advice for the single Muslim.
So let's dive in.
Bismillah. So, son, I joined this WhatsApp group. There are a lot of biodatas there. Go through them and maybe we can find someone.
Okay. I kind of like this one. She's 5'2", she's 31 years old, has an arts degree.
31? When does
Yeah.
she plan to have children at 40? Next one.
Okay, so this one is 23, she's 5'2", lives in Toronto, is a Canadian citizen, father's a cab driver.
What?
Father's a cab driver.
Okay, I guess no comment. Next one, please.
Okay, so this one's 24. She dresses modestly, wears hijab. She's 5'4", born and raised in South Dakota, has a degree in public policy. Father is an engineer, mother is a finance professional. What do you think?
I wonder what their lineage is, but I think we can work with that. Okay, we'll think about it, inshallah.
So if you guys haven't figured it out yet, first of all, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Matchmaker. Of course, I am Zaid, and my co-host here is Hiba.
Assalamu alaikum.
So, in case you guys haven't figured it out yet, we are discussing biodatas
Yay!
and the fun world of biodatas. I'm actually surprised we haven't done an episode on this yet, because this is such an integral part of the matchmaking process when it comes to the Desi community.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a biodata, then good luck. That's pretty much how it works. Even I, at some point, with much reluctance and hesitation, I ended up making a biodata.
Oh, yeah?
I just had to give in because I was getting older and it was just becoming difficult to get matches without a biodata.
So how did your biodata look?
I think I still got it floating around somewhere. But yeah, it was what my degree was. I wasn't dishonest or anything. I was pretty clear about what I was looking for. I didn't put too much about my parents or siblings like you see in typical biodatas. And I think I did pass it around to a few potential matches. But needless to say, it didn't work out for me. It didn't really help me at all. So I abandoned it and just tried matrimonial websites.
Wow. Well, being an Arab person, we don't have this concept, honestly. Mm-hmm. And to me, it sounds very strange. And I don't know if I should say degrading to some level.
It can be.
Like I was going through some biodatas on actual WhatsApp group, and it's amazing what people put on there. Like, for example, what does the father's education has to do with anything? What does mother's education have to do with anything? And siblings, and which universities they went to, and what they do, where the father is born and brought up, where the mother is born and brought up. Like, who's looking to get married? The person or their father or mother? Like,
I think what people are looking for is an insight to the family dynamic.
This doesn't give any information about family dynamic. It's just gives an impression about the status of the family.
Yeah, that too. I'm not going to deny that part.
Honestly, it just boils my blood. Like, we're looking for somebody who comes from a well-educated family. What does that have to do with anything? So
it's like I've said before, education is just another word for status.
Like, I get, because you could say, if you're looking for education, you could say we're looking for somebody who's educated, but not comes from a well-educated family. Like, you're not marrying the family. Like, what if the father is actually a cab driver? Does that take away from your prestige and your respect in society? Like,
it is very much kind of a hierarchical system, right? Where at the top of the pyramid, you got your doctors, engineers, lawyers, your six-figure earners, etc., etc. In the middle, you got your educated professionals, but they're not in the six-figure category. And at the bottom, it's like people with a high school diploma or maybe a college certificate.
Astaghfirullah.
And those are the people who are going to struggle.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
So that's unfortunately how biodatas work. But I mean, I don't know. Some people have had luck with biodatas, so I'm not going to completely dismiss it.
But I'm talking honestly about the concept itself. Like, just because it's been successful for some people, it doesn't mean that it's... Or maybe it's because I'm an outsider and just looking from the outside. I don't know.
Well, why don't we dissect what a biodata is for people who don't know? Right?
That's a good point. I should have started with that.
Because I'm assuming we have a lot of non-Desi listeners. So what biodatas are, they are essentially a marriage resume. And it's more than just, what your background is, what you're looking for. It's more like a family background of what your father does, what your mother does, how many siblings you have, where you're from, where you were raised. Sometimes specifically as to the area that you're from in India or Pakistan. Sometimes your lineage is also mentioned on the marriage resume.
Legal status as well.
Legal status. And then, of course, your degree, your occupation. Sometimes even income is put on the biodata.
Oh, yeah?
And, of course, what you're looking for. So Hiba was previously on this WhatsApp group that has biodatas. Now I'm kind of checking in on this group and I'm learning a lot about my culture and is cementing a lot of things that I felt about my culture. The one thing that I see over and over again that is just very much consistent is the mother's contact information.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Sometimes you see the father's contact information, but the mother's contact info is always there. As if and you just said this word too, as if the girl is mute, right? Like the girl is incapable of communicating, or the guy, in fact, is incapable of communicating, assessing compatibility. Is it not haram for a girl to reach out to someone for marriage? Right? Given that she's doing it through the appropriate means and channels, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, if you're interested, contact the mother and her phone number. But it's even worse when it's a guy. If you're interested, contact the father or the mother. When it's a guy who's looking like,
that is
come
much
on.
worse. So that shows like your lack of maturity and independence. It really does. And also is an indication of whether or not you're serious.
Like, for example, there was this one biodata with information, of course, about each family member and the fact that the brother is a hafiz. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Are you trying to impress, or are you genuinely looking for somebody who's compatible with your daughter?
I don't know. Maybe that gives some sort of indication that it's a religious family.
Not necessarily.
No?
No. Not necessarily. How many people attend the mosque every day and they do hifd and stuff, but they're awful people to work with. And also, you don't have to include everything in a biodata. You can, these things can be learned in the first meeting when the family start talking to each other. But it's like...
But why invest the time into the meeting? Why not just swipe through the biodata?
So the fact that a brother is a hafiz would make somebody decide, oh, this person is good for me, or this person is not good for me. Or it's just trying to impress. I think some people, they confuse biodata with a resume, like you said. Like when you are applying for a job, you're trying to impress. Mention every little qualification, every little experience you have, any skills you have that might help you get the job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different. We're talking about human beings.
Yeah, living with someone is much different than employing someone. Needless to say. If you're overwhelmed and burdened and just don't know where to seek help, let us help you. We can be your personal matchmakers. Visit us at halalmatch.ca and book a free call with us. Yeah, another funny thing that we were just talking about before we started recording was how we always see that the person has to have a balance between deen and dunya. And it's the phrasing of that statement is so interesting to me because it feels like, somebody that is too focused on the deen is a monk. Like they live in a cave, they have no concept of the dunya, they lack social skills, they don't know how to make a livelihood. When historically speaking, this is not like how Islam was practiced, right? I mean, we can go through a list of millions of examples of Muslim scholars that were also inventors that came up with things like algebra and things like that. But I just don't understand this.
No, I'm actually trying to picture it. Like a guy going through this, balance between deen and... No, I don't have a balance between deen and dunya.
I'm just too deen.
Like, no, I'm too dunya. Like, what information does the statement deliver? Nothing. Right?
I think what they really want to know is whether or not this person is super liberal or super conservative. Or are they moderate? Okay. That's what they're really looking for if you think about it.
So if someone's super conservative, they're going to see this and say that, no, I don't have a balance. Like the word balance, people, like the word balance itself, like is somebody going to read the word balance and decide, no, I don't have balance, I'm imbalanced? Like there's something wrong with the phrasing itself, right?
And the interesting thing is that liberals will always think they're balanced, and conservatives will always think they're balanced too.
Exactly.
So nobody, is further adding to your point. Yeah, nobody's going to think they're imbalanced.
Actually, subhanallah, Islam itself, Allah calls it dinan wasata, right? Like it's a middle. Ummatan wasata.
Yeah.
So if you're following the deen, you're already balanced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we see people that are super liberal, super conservative, and they are quote-unquote imbalanced.
Super liberals aren't going to be searching in WhatsApp groups. They're going to be searching in like clubs and bars. Exactly, right?
True.
So you've been that proud for a long time before we get married. Tell me a story that stands out to you, that you can still remember till this day.
So there was this one instance where my grandmother's sister called me. And it was one of those really weird occasions where I had a few missed calls and then a voicemail. And I thought it was something urgent. I thought somebody died or something else happened. So I called her back and she said a family friend contacted her regarding a proposal and that they were having a lot of trouble and they were seeking her help. So she suggested me. And I said, okay. And it turns out I actually knew this family friend and I went to school with her.
Really?
Yes. I went to elementary school with her and I knew she was a really, really smart girl, like a super achiever. So I said, okay. But my grandmother's sister, she kept insisting that I contact the family instead of them contacting me, which seems strange because they're interested in me, so why not call me, right? So that was the first red flag. So I was very resistant at first because I knew this would be a complete waste of time. I knew they were probably looking for somebody who was also a super achiever, who was very, very much accomplished, probably a medical professional or something. So I told my parents, and my parents were like, why not just do it and see what happens? So with much reluctance, I did end up contacting the father. And I introduced myself. I said I got your information from my auntie or from my great aunt. And I started asking him questions about her. Mm-hmm. And he very quickly kind of turned the conversation about me. So basic questions, my degree, my parents, my immigration status, nothing that I was foreign to. And he just kept going through his list of questions. And then he wanted to end the call and say, okay, we'll get back to you. But I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to let that happen. So I said, he wanted to end the call by saying, why don't you send me a picture and biodata of yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
And he barely provided information about his daughter.
He barely provided any information.
Even though they were the ones who were interested.
Yes. And I also did a Google search of this girl too, and it turned out she's an orthopedic surgeon working for a private clinic, earning insane money. And so I didn't let that go. So I didn't let the call end, and I told the uncle, respectfully of course, I'd like to see your daughter's biodata, and I'd like to see her picture too, right? I mean, usually this is very, in most situations you don't do that. It's very unconventional. You don't ask for the girl's picture.
Really?
Yeah, you just don't.
Okay.
Like a guy should not be asking for the girl's picture. Like if the parents are giving it willingly, then you consider that a blessing, basically.
Really?
Yeah, you just don't ask.
Why the double standard?
It's a huge double standard. So I said, I'd like to see that. And he was kind of taken aback by that. I could tell from the tone of his voice. And then he doubled down and he said, well, I'll talk to my wife first. And first we have to see your information, see your picture. And then we'll let you know.
Now, what about the girl herself? It's the father talking. He's going to talk to his wife. Where's the girl in the picture?
I'm assuming he's going to talk to his daughter. I mean, I can give him the benefit of the doubt on that. So I ended the call. I talked to my parents. I said, first my initial reaction was, hell no. No way am I going to even send this biodata. I felt disrespected on the call. Mm-hmm. This is a complete waste of time. And my dad suggested, just do it, just see what happens, just see. And I think my mom said the same thing. So I think I had a biodata laying around. I kind of made some tweaks on it, and I sent it to him along with my picture. And I knew deep down that I was not going to get a response, and I never did.
You should have put your foot down and never sent your biodata.
I guess. But it was a good learning experience, yeah. And it just cemented everything that I was feeling about the Desi community, about biodatas, that you're judged on a piece of paper.
Mm. Right? As we were going through these biodatas in the WhatsApp group, I'm like, no wonder people are struggling to get married, because they're being judged based on just few lines, and sometimes they're being judged not based on their personality, or they're being judged based on, I don't know, their father's profession or their height, or like this degrades the person.
I think the bigger problem, and where this epidemic is really stemming from the fact that people aren't putting in the work. The fact that, and this is a clear example of that, and I talk about this in the workshop. When parents take the lead in this, they are they're applying their own generational mindset, right? The practice of how it was done back when they got married. And this is how it was done, right? Biodatas, people in the local community, the village, mom and dads found somebody for them. And it worked great for that generation. And guys and girls aren't putting in the work. They're putting the responsibility on their parents. And as a result, parents are doing it the way that it was done back then. So the problem isn't necessarily the parents, I think. It's more the people that are looking to get married.
Yeah.
And chances are, and I have a strong feeling this is true, and I think you've mentioned this before, that probably some of these guys and girls don't even know their parents are looking.
Yeah, we hear it from clients all the time. Oh, yeah, I think my mom is looking, but like, they're not involved. Sure.
Yeah. Like, I know my mom's looking, or sometimes, like girls don't even know their mom's looking. They could be 21, 22, and then boom, they're going to just say, I got somebody for you, getting married next week. And by the way, I work with somebody that where that situation kind of happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
A forced marriage?
Well, it wasn't a forced marriage, but, the girl got a random call saying, oh, I found somebody for you in Pakistan. I need you to fly out to Pakistan and meet the guy. So she didn't meet the guy. She said she liked him. So it wasn't a forced marriage or anything. But there was like no like long-term courting or assessment or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, I like this guy. He seems attractive. Let's make it happen.
Hey, if you have a story to tell, we'd love to have you on. Here you'll find a safe space of listeners who can understand what you're going through. Just shoot us an email with a summary of your story at info@halalmatch.ca. So, a question.
Yeah.
How are biodatas different from profiles on matrimonial websites? Because somebody could say you're bashing biodatas. Well, profiles are just the same.
That's a good question. So the point is that at the end of the day, you do need some sort of concrete information about the person, right? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm a kind person. Let's try to make this work." So number one, biodatas, the emphasis is like you just said on occupation. It's you're talking a lot about what the parents do, what their background is,
status in general,
right? Biodatas have a lot more to do with status, unfortunately. That's just the honest truth. Matrimonial profiles, if it's done the right way, and if there is a personality component to it, like on HOD, for example, then you're getting a better picture and understanding of the whole person, not just one aspect of the person, right? Yeah. You're not just finding out what their degree is, what their occupation is, what their parents do, where they were born, all of that stuff. That stuff is just trivial. All right, that doesn't lead into compatibility. So yeah, there's a huge difference between a good matrimonial profile, and especially if you're taking the time to invest in it and you're sharing what your strengths are. I mean, at the most on a biodata, people will say what their hobbies are.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Right, but there's no indication as to how they're different from the other biodata. Right? Yeah. Everybody loves to travel. Everybody loves food. Everybody loves to go to the gym. I mean, that's so generic.
No,
right?
Nobody loves to go to the gym. We just go. Well, we don't love to go.
Yeah, you get what I mean. So there's no distinguishing factor from one biodata to another. They all just kind of seem the same to me. Actually, with the only difference in age and occupation. Actually,
they are filling. So I notice, for example, marital status, single, never married. Previous marriages, if applicable, no. Children, previous children, if applicable, no. So it feels like they're just filling in the blank.
That's true. Yeah. Actually, the admin for the WhatsApp group, he said, please use this template. Okay. So there is a template that you are supposed to use for this group.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on for days about this. If you are a guy or a girl looking to get married, you've said this in previous episodes and we'll say it until the day we die. You got to put in the work. You cannot put the responsibility on your parents, okay? It's very important that if you want to separate yourself from the herd, if you want to see people, if you want people to see you in a different light, then take the time to show how you're different, what your strengths are, not necessarily what you like or enjoy, but why you like those things, right? What are you truly, deeply passionate about?
What are your plans for the future?
What are your plans for the future? How, if you're a man, how do you demonstrate yourself to be a leader, right? As somebody who's financially mature and independent and a caretaker. If you're a woman, how can you demonstrate that you are supportive and nurturing, and that you're going to, take care of the home while your husband is gone for work? These important things, highlight those things, because using a biodata or, just copy and pasting some sort of template online isn't going to address these things.
So even if you want to do a biodata and share it on WhatsApp groups, make your biodata different. You don't have to abide by the template and by the rules. You can make your biodata very different.
Yeah, make it more like a matrimonial profile, right? So don't even call it a biodata, just whatever term you want to use. Call it a matrimonial profile, biodata, call it a bottle, okay? Just demonstrate what you bring to the table and what your strengths are and all the other things I just previously mentioned.
And make the focus you, not your family members.
Yeah, exactly. All right, inshallah, till next time then.
Yeah.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.